take it. Just don't go to it.
Yeah. So, I think, okay, so Mina, Tilly, and Abilene weren't able to make it through. So I want to kind of start setting up plans for this coming weekend. It gives us enough runway. Michael, could you take notes, and then we'll send these minutes out. And what we'll do is we'll number it, and then at the end of enumerating through the things we need to do, we'll go and prioritize, like rejig them so they're kind of in a priority list.
Yeah.
The first and foremost, you and Mina are going to be running COC alongside Wyatt, because you do the trifecta right now. Wyatt's got the business background. He's familiar with what exists, what needs to happen, right? You've got a pulse from a different perspective, and Mina's got a pulse with a lot of people in the city.
Yeah.
Now, the reason it's going to be remained at 3, there's going to be some feelings hurt. I know, right? Everyone, I'm sure everyone wants to have some involvement with it, but we need a functioning department. This isn't about me. This is a business decision, right? Everyone that wants to help can do so from an auxiliary perspective. In other words, if there is a business where other members of the cabinet can individually assist in, whether it's from a legal perspective, whether it's from a like a medical perspective, or whatever the perspective may be, they are more than welcome to assist from that particular perspective. But you 3 are the ones that are going to be leading the meeting. I will be there when needed to observe, and I will be that final sign-off. Now, the way that I see these sign-offs working is as follows. This is the skeleton process that I have in mind. First, they put in a business proposal through the app. Secondly, hold on one second. Let me see what this is. Secondly, I will do my best to post a copy of that into our email chain, because that's the only way y'all are going to be able to see it. That business proposal should then go into a database, name, the applicant, status of the business proposal, brief description. Let's use an example. I'm going to go ahead and post a copy of this. So, Hydra Agriculture. Oops. I'm going to post this in the email chain. I'm also going to post the owner.
Gave you a separate email thread under the COC for business applications, Nino.
Ooh, beautiful. Beautiful. So I would normally put the owner in there. For some reason, this guy's apparently got no record of name or whatever. But I would go, if like, let's say they didn't put it in the description, we will do that. I'll like put their profile in there.
Yeah.
So this gets now in our little database. That same database, let's have it on the website, right?
Okay.
So that way the entire city can see all the Los Santos businesses and public database of the status of all of them. The current statuses that I believe we should have is pending, accepted, or sorry, pending on presentation, which pending on mayor, pending on DOJ, approved, rejected. We can change up those statuses, but spitballing, the idea behind this is that everybody in the city knows why and where all the businesses statuses are. It allows people to see, also there should be a date associated with it, should see what's coming through the pipeline. It shows our activity, right? It breeds confidence, and it gives folks an idea that we are making forward progress with these business approvals. The next thing is when someone has applied through the business app, and now that they've got their business up in this thing, right? They schedule a meeting with the COC. We meet them for, let's say, a 20-minute presentation. It's going to be you, Mina, Wyatt, then the auxiliary, whoever decides to attend. I may or not attend. That the point of that little Dragon's Den sort of situation, right, is to add a little bit of flavor to it. We're not playing this game of just go press the buttons. Fuck that shit. If people don't want to make time for their business to do a presentation, then they're not worth our time to begin with, right? Help those who want to be helped. At the end of that meeting, they should be walking away with either A, an approval, B, feedback as to why we can't approve it right away or why we got to reject it. Now, we're not going to go outright reject it, but rather we should give them some guidance of where they need to fix some things. So, for example, someone says, I'm going to run the resort. We're not going to let that happen, right? This is a multi-million-dollar resort. Not just going to fucking give it to somebody, right? On the flip side, we might give, for example, like the Vagos run Atomic Motorworks. We might approve that because it's a small building. It's by their barrio. We can make an exception. Only I can approve those exceptions, right? But I want to give you the guideline, right? Which is if they own buildings near an area, I'm okay, and it's small, I'm willing for us to accept it. Anything beyond that, we really need to look for federal approval, right? And they would need significant backing behind it. After their presentation, they do not need to ever re-present it, right? So if there's some problems that prevent us from approving it, whether it's they need to resubmit, etc., we can work through those problems without them representing it, right? It's a waste of time. Finally, throughout this week, you can let folks know, stop putting in your business proposals. Make sure you follow the guidelines written in the legislation so that they're properly submitting it, and have like a PowerPoint or something that they could use when doing the presentation with us, right? And let them know that this weekend is when we're going to start opening up those gates. Give them the caveat that we are still waiting for the DOJ to give us the final vote count, and that's the only thing preventing us to stop. So just let them know that, listen, if we can't do it, it's not because we don't want to do it. It's because we're just waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Any question about any of this COC stuff and kind of the plan for businesses?
No,
okay.
Good.
Fantastic. Second line item. We are going to be removing the taxes. We're not going to get rid of stab, but we're going to bring down taxes to 0%. And we are going to instead have like for the stall stuff, replace it with some kind of expectation around the operation of the stall. Specifically, instead of doing the $50,000 a week thing to kick out these useless ones, we are going to replace it with if you are not operating that stall, it's something along the lines of, and I need someone to take on this task. Ava, you might be probably the best suited for this because I think you've got trust in you and Tweety. Actually, do you know who Tweety is?
I don't think so.
I know her well. Wyatt knows her even better than I do. She's wonderful.
I think
she is
Tweety
correct.
being a manager there, pairing her with Ava, and figuring out a plan with those stalls, specifically taco shop, hot dog shop, shawarma shop, and the burger shop, coming up with, instead of the tax, we replace it with some kind of like stall inspection where we may actually make them give us receipts or something, like, you know, show us where the money is, some kind of way for us to say, and this is where you got to figure out like how this shit works, is a way for us to say, you can get audited if you are not actually operating based on these bare minimums. You're going to be hit with a massive fine. So if there's motherfuckers that are trying to do X, Y, and Z, we hit them with the fine instead. And if it's an alternative to get these fucking vacant stalls, boom, boom. I think the second thing is open up the conversation with them about making it illegal to sell your stall ownership. Because I think and be careful with this conversation, because people may actually want this, and if they want it, then, well, fuck it, right? Forget ethics for a moment, right? Yes, it's dog shit, but at the end of the day, if they're not on board, it hurts our ability to do everything else, right? We need to maintain good politics. But
What about
if they're
subletting, Nino? Like a stall owner rents it out to someone else to run it.
I think it's dog shit.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that it's hard to sell that pony because we are facing like people see ownership of a stall as like an achievement, right? As something that they deserve. But I think those are the sort of, I do think that you should have that conversation with them. And that's Ava and Tweety. So, and what we'll do is we will alter the legislation for that, sort of as we go. Like, you know what I mean? So hopefully by end of week, we can put those alterations in. For those who have not been here as to why we're rolling back on it, at the end of the day, those taxes did and will help the city get funding, because right now we have about 45 mil in the bank. However, the majority of that money is from real estate. As soon as these businesses get approved and we start giving money for events, it's going to go very quickly to zero, simply due to the fact that the income to the state has dramatically dropped, right? There is objectively no way to actually do any sort of statistical analysis. I put my fucking, look, it just is what it is. It's like fucking Bitcoin in 2008. You know what I mean? Like one day it's fucking 5,000, one day it's like fucking 25,000.
Yeah.
So,
that's for stalls. Now we're bringing it down to zero across the board for all businesses, I'm assuming?
I'm sorry?
Or we're setting tax across the board to 0% for everything? Or
Yeah,
just the
I
stalls?
think
Okay.
I think that's
I was gonna say, do we want to instead replace it with like a simple like $10,000 a month renewal
Maybe it's
fee
just
your
for.
business
Maybe let's
license?
start with just stalls.
Yeah.
Nah, let's get rid of it
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because we may need to win this next election.
Yeah. I was gonna say that number two. I think policing this, like actually doing the audits and actually doing all the work, is gonna be a lot for a small team like us. So I think that's why doing if you wanted to doing something like a $5,000 or $10,000 a month renewal fee for your business license is the easier approach. There's no spreadsheets and shit like that. And we're still getting a little bit of revenue.
I don't think it was ever the intention for this team to do the audits. I always thought we were gonna contract.
Outsource it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have the time to even get that together.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. That's why I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. That would take all our time. That's for somebody like Glenn who wants to literally wants to do that.
How about
So I don't
this?
Yeah.
Let's replace it as with the wording, and this is going to have to touch some of the other legislation as well. If like because I think it's written 10% somewhere else, is that we probably need to cut that out and instead reference the stab document. I noticed that when re-reviewing some of the stuff. Let's instead say 10%. Like, word it in a way where it's like optional, right? We are
Businesses
encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And make it clear that not paying the tax is not illegal.
Okay.
So that those who want to fund us can fund us. And I think that's the way to go about it. That way we're not pulling this stuff out. If down the line we need to reintroduce a tax rate, we can do so, right? It's going to be 1 or 2 line change. And that's kind of the beauty with the way that we wrote this legislation. The fact of the matter is the education level in Los Santos is very low, so people are just not going to, they're going to be fearful of words, right? And it just is what it is. Moving on to the next thing. Wait, did Bill? Oh, there he is. We can let folks know that they can apply to the Air Marshals program. And we'll give it a little bit until we have some more potties. I had an individual named Snow who approached me. He's been running air stuff for a minute. And yeah, Bill.
This is kind of off topic, but before.
So then let's wait. Is it urgent?
Okay. You just don't let me leave without telling you.
Okay. The Snow wants to run a business, and he's thinking about becoming air master. I kind of cooked on it a bit. I don't think they should be doing both. However, if, for example, he becomes the only and best suited for it, it will likely be something that is temporary, so he can grow someone up, so he can focus on his business, because having both becomes a inherent conflict of interest, right? Where whether he does so intentionally or otherwise, whether he succeeds or otherwise, optics are a bitch, right? So we don't want to end up in optical situation where it's like he's approving his trainers and shit, right? But others are struggling, whether it's because of time zone, right? Time zones are going to make awful optics. So if that's a path we got to go down, that's something that we open up.
We had another AirX former instructor apply as well. Well,
name?
Interest. Garrett Matthews.
Okay. At the end of the day, right, there's the master and then there's trainers, right? So if the program ends up succeeding, then you know, if the program ends up succeeding, then, you know, we're going to have trainers all around the board. There has been questions in regards to airspace questions. The way I've been navigating this is like, look, we can only control our airspace, and then there's like federal, state airspaces, Blaine County airspace. We're right now, we're at the stage of getting people learned, right? And Blaine County has not approached us about it, hasn't spoken to us about it. We want to work with them, but there just doesn't seem to be interest. So if people want shit like that, they should encourage Blaine County to discuss with us, and we are very much open to it. The reason I painted like this way is this is our messaging across the board, right? Feel free and let folks know why it's taken so long. You know, whether it's like Nakota, whether it's Andy Jones, whether it's Blaine County petitioning against our legislation that's been slowing it down. Let them know that we want to work with them, but they're not calling us, right? And you want to come from that approach, because that is exactly what's happened, and people have the right to know, but also have the right to know that we are willing to work with us. They just will refuse to communicate. I think, and I think that's it. Is there anything else we got to discuss? Oh, LSPD matters, only I will handle it. If you get asked about it, you bring it my way. This is because it's becoming such a severe political matter, and because things change rapidly, it's important for me to convey an official message, and anything beyond that will be done through press release. Does everyone understand why that's the case?
Yes.
No, makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we the cabinet don't like let LSPD do what they want, but if there's concerns, you want to talk to Nino, and you know, boom boom. Okay.
Yeah, that was actually the call I just got.
Oh, okay. Could you go ahead? What is it about?
Yeah. So Ember, one of the clowns, was arrested in Los Santos County by Los Santos officers, and they revoked hunting and licenses and stuff like that because of the nature of the crime. Yeah. So I told Ember.
Wait, how is that legal?
It's not, because that's Blaine County legislation for one. But I told Ember, contact the lawyer immediately, and I would pass the information on to you. And if you requested, I would give you the number. Ember gave consent for me to give you the number.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably the best way to handle it. Yeah. When it comes to the clowns, we are going to only directly speak with Tessa Lamb. She is the den mother, so to speak. I think the rest are just, you don't know if you're talking to what segment of clown. When you have someone like Ursula speaking on behalf of the clowns and whatever, I think it's created poor communication. I do not have time. We do not have time to diaper change them when the rest of the city needs us. So if it's clown related, say we communicate through Tessa. I'm going to be speaking with Tessa later today to let her know why that's the case. Yeah,
matters like this though, I'm just going to answer it generically, advise them get a lawyer, and pass the info on to you.
Yeah,
that's the best course of action, I think, for me.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely.
So I sent you Ember's number.
Next, I got another angle of priority is Arthur, Ava, Bill, Abilene. I think your biggest strength right now, as we've got this week going into the next stuff, is let's get out there and see where people are hurting, either legislatively, from a job perspective. Start getting that feedback and start coming up with some potential solutions to their problems. We'll propose it here in like Friday or whatever, right? If you think you got a solution that can be solved earlier, it could be anything from new traffic laws to enhancing whatever piece of legislation, putting a new one in, all that kind of stuff. We have so much runway now, and all of our shit passed. At this point, it's small pieces of legislation here or there. For example, we could get sewer legislation making it very clear you're allowed in the sewers and it's not illegal, right? It should be very pro people. What I want to get away from, because I think it hurt us in the past, is that we want the support prior to even submitting the legislation. So people are like, oh shit, they are doing this for us. That opens up the next thing, is that Michael is setting up the legislative review setup. Him and I are going to work on this today to get the various circles in Los Santos who directly support this office access to the review. I do not give a fuck about anybody who hasn't been working with us. They get bottom level support. It's very simple. We have burnt 90% of our time dealing with crybaby bitches instead of the majority of the city that wants to see forward progress. Let's spend the next 2 months helping them, right? The majority. Ava?
So I have a couple of questions about if certain things can be done, because I have been talking to people through G6 and the food stalls and everything. Arthur, actually, remember what we were talking about before Storm? About the buying property?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That I'll leave that to you then. But as far as the is there anything that we can do for G6 workers getting any kind of a discount on the license fees or anything like that?
I'm sorry, wait, speak up for me, Ava.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Lately, like in the last couple of days, I'm gonna say probably with the new payout. Obviously, people have been doing G6 more now, and the past 3 runs I did, we had issues with people coming up to try to rob us. The one that was successfully thwarted was because 3 people on the job had guns.
Oh, let's go!
Yeah.
So it's already where that shit's popping off. We should get an article out on that.
You got it. And they left. They ran away.
Let's go.
So, and then the ones that didn't, we just got to drop. The trucks were out empty, so it was useless that way because we're going like 4 or 5 deep. Some people are out with guns, and the other ones are unloading the truck, and then sometimes moving the truck away so that it's not there, and you can't even see that we're doing the job. But a lot of people don't have the money for the license because some of them are just starting just to hit duty. They said to spend like almost 40 grand or more for the truck. Everybody doesn't have money. I mean, you're gonna make it, but is there anything that we can do to get any kind of reduction on the license fee? I know the gun probably not.
Let's get G6 to start backing that we get the gun license fee to 0. And
yeah, that would be great.
That's what we can try to do. And I'd say work with the G6 guys to could you, Ava, work with them, look through the stuff and see if we can get it to 0.
Okay.
Free license. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that is going to probably become a state issue, so there may be pushback.
Doesn't have to be nothing. I mean, nothing would be great, obviously, but it's just we have found just in the last couple of days how effective it is for us. People, myself included, had the mindset they come so deep, we're not going to have a chance. And they're just going to get the gun stolen. But these past couple of days showed us that if we have guns on the job and we are out and they're out and brandishing, cops show up because the locals, complain to them that there's weapons being brandished. So they show up even though they won't show up for the 311. So they're there. And then the criminals, when they see we're already out and we're already brandishing, they go away. And so it is really helpful to have it, if we can.
if these firearms are supposed to be for new people, that legislation only covers Tier 3, Group 6, as far as I'm aware. So I feel like unless that legislation was extended to cover Tiers 2 and 1, they'd probably get jumped on, and then those guns would just be lost straight away. I feel like brandishing is like the only advantage you have.
Right now, for some reason, they're going more after the Tier 3, the pallets. The bags for the regular ones, they're not getting hit as much as we are, as the Tier 3 people. So.
Little bit of an update, by the way. The results are not DOJ's fault. The business stuff. It turns out, I'm just gonna say it because I think DOJ needs the defense here. So, fucking dumb fucks. Like, you know how it is. Like, they have to wait for the poll master to grab it because people like to do dumb shit. So, so we're not really waiting on the DOJ as much as we gotta wait on the secure box to be opened up. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Ava.
Arthur could probably explain it best because he was the one who actually brought up the issue. But a lot of other people have made the comment too about purchasing stuff, and if there's Arthur, go ahead.
Sure. I mentioned it briefly to Michael as well. I snapped earlier. I was looking through real estate. There was commercial properties that are valued at 560,000 being sold for 1.5 million.
Yeah.
And I don't see how any business that isn't basically farming for moonshine, let's be brutally honest here, is going to ever be able to afford that unless they sit on the sandy truck for 5 million years.
How much is the property? Are you talking about the Calais Avenue 1.5 mil?
Yeah, those two. I saw them. I mean, there's price gouging, and then there's whatever the fuck that is.
I will explain that the problem is, and I chewed out a guy named Cow yesterday for crying on Twitter that I think Ava, you might have seen this possibly, crying on Twitter that, oh my God, the food prices got to go up now because the mayor's making us pay $50,000 a week. And I go, listen, you dumb cunt, you're fucking you're extorting Changgang 20% of your profits. He's flipping houses with that money and crying that he has to increase prices. Go and put yourself on a flagpole. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna fucking cut your neck myself and place you on there next to the fucking flag. You know?
So my thought was, I was wondering if the state's able to buy property and then do sort of like a lease to buy scheme for businesses. Perhaps if they want those properties, that they can pay maybe like 10% on top of the market price back over time, and then if they don't pay it back, the state still owns the property and can lease it to someone else as time goes on. But
that'd be a good replacement for tax.
And that would help with getting money into the
That's just the thought that I had.
No, and that would help give money back to the state as well if people can rent it or lease it.
We'd also be able to control actual businesses having it, not gangs.
Exactly. I mean, if you own it as well, I mean, you'd be able to stop it. I mean, being used for illicit stuff, if that was your intent, of course.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how much money the state has.
It kind of goes back to the tax conversation, right? Is that the amount of greed that we're dealing with is impossible to battle because, and I'm going to give you an example, right? We had the conversation about what Cow is doing in this very meeting a couple weeks ago, and Eve was like, that's smart business. And I'm like, according to who? Like, it's not. It's inherently the equivalent of what is it, like BlackRock opening up buying all residential properties in the United States. It's inherently why in Canada they've made that kind of shit illegal. It's inherently why New York has made it illegal to do it, because it is not capitalism and good business. It is fucking the epitome of nepotistic what is it called? Corporatocracy. It removes and generates and creates effectively a modern day slavery where you are tied to debt and the corporate 0.1% ends up eating. It's inherently wrong, as is the notion of flipping houses through the vacuum of having it doesn't help the people. It's why regulations exist. Now, back to your point, it's going to be hard to put that notion in because even though most understand it, the problem is we need the state to step in on that. And so I am talking to the state. It's a part of my line items that I'm going to bring up, which is, or the feds, I should say, where I want to bring the power of real estate under the hands of the mayor that can then dole it out to realtors and have housing regulation. The only people that are gonna get hurt are people that already have too much money. And the people that are gonna benefit are the people that want to create things in the city and not be fucking tied down to some bullshit. Now, I will say that I don't think this 1.5 million is actually that bad. It's even worse with other aspects of real estate. So let me kind of tackle that. Keep taking those notes. I do think that what we could do is some of these bigger problems like real estate, we should probably open a separate email chain so that we can maintain notes on it.
I'll set that up.
So my TLDR author is right now my hands are kind of tied until
that's all right.
Yeah.
My the general point is just that lower barriers to entry make more creative and imaginative business in my eyes personally. So even if a business might not make heaps of money, you might have unique or niche businesses that can thrive if they don't have to fork out millions for a tiny storefront.
Yeah.
But a dream perhaps.
Yeah, because even the price for that small storefront,
Yeah, it's a lot.
The warehouse is 9,700 square feet, and market price is 808,000.
Yeah,
you could fit like 1 million of those storefronts in it. There's no way I'd ever let the warehouse go for 808. Things easily worth like 2 or 3, probably even 5 mil if I was to sell it.
Well, the issue is like if a couple of people price gauge, then you're somewhat forced to because you can't buy anything else because everything's too expensive. It's just a spiral of more expensive as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's unregulated real estate is at the end of it. And is it BlackRock? Am I thinking it is? Is it BlackRock the one that's buying it all up?
BlackRock's like that mega corp, like $3 trillion or something like that.
Yeah, they've been buying up all the property in the United States alongside Airbnb. It's actually insane. Vanguard, Blackstone, that's what it is. Yeah.
Do you know what they're talking about?
Yeah, Bill. Fucking wait.
No, it's not.
There's also a Blackstone and BlackRock. They're like they're essentially two very similar companies, and they're related in some ways, but they do the same shit.
You got two Canadians here trying to follow along.
Yeah.
It's just sketchy mega corp that own more wealth than like a whole country does. So that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So as long as it doesn't come to the island, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, it has is what this conversation's about.
Oh.
You have independent Blackstones. The problem is, and I hate to say it, as a capitalist myself, and don't confuse my capitalistic ideologies to what can be comparable to like places like China and shit like that, which believe. Anyways, listen, I'm not gonna crack that fucking can open. We need a little bit more socialism in Los Santos. But that's a hard sell.
I think we should make some Soviet style propaganda with your face on it.
No, listen, no,
Posted everywhere.
That is not what I'm referencing.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I just think it
I'm
looked
wearing
good.
sick.
Like a giant, like 20-foot high
Yeah.
poster with your face on it.
Yeah,
this is the
no,
way.
that's oh my god, I could get into a whole thing about that, but
Ask not what
capitalism
Nino can
is
do
good
for
as
you,
long
but
as
Nino
it's
can-
regulated.
Yeah.
But those regulations should be based on the will of the people and not the will of the lobbyist. So unfortunately, that's something hard to do. You know what I mean? For the Canadians in the circle, in America, corporations are people. So welcome to our world.
I mean, that's the same in Canada.
Wait,
effectively.
what?
I mean, corporations are people in Canada as well.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, when the fuck did that happen?
I don't know the last time the
1872?
Yeah, I was going to say whenever the definition of corporation was established. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, we didn't have that till about 20 years ago with the what the fuck was it called? The oh my god, I forgot what it was. Is hold on as I jog my brain. Oh my lord, now I need to know because Citizens United. Oh my lord, have mercy. Oh lord.
I mean, for Canada, it would have been, I think, whenever Britain established that, Canada probably followed suit, I would assume.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably 18-something, 1867, I would say, Bill. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. Whenever Hudson's Bay was around.
Anything else we want to sort of tackle? Oh, we should get Los Santos Emmy out there. I also think
that's a big one. Yeah.
that this real estate thing, you should put it out there. Get someone to write an article on it, Arthur.
Write it yourself if you want to.
Yeah.
God no. I can't write articles.
Well, I mean.
But yeah, the key takeaway here is this week we're going to start ramping up, start getting feedback. Yeah. And
Nino, did you see the articles that Moose Knuckle?
They're so
Moose
good.
Knuckles wrote? Yeah,
they're so good. Now we just
he
need
did a
people to
really
know
good
that
job.
they exist. I think is the big thing.
Yeah.
We can use Twitter for that, right?
Absolutely.
And just
Is there?
Twitter's probably the best way to get messages out because most people don't have the notifications turned off, and you see it, and then it's like, oh, what is this? Because word of mouth isn't going to do it, and they're not going to. Overall, they're not going to take the initiative to go and look it up for themselves.
Well, and I think LosSantos.me will see a lot more traffic when Archibald gets the press corps up and running. Because if the news agencies are getting their content posted on there, they're going to be inherently driving people to LosSantos.me for all their content as well. And it's going to make people want to click around. So I don't know where he's at with that, but that's another thing that needs to kind of get up and running soon.
And there's a spot on that for the events and stuff to be posted, right?
The event calendar is in draft. It's not posted live yet. And I've tested the map, and I think we're going to be good with the map too.
That's going to make a lot of activity go there too, because people will be able to find things much easier than trying to find it on Twitter.
Yeah,
that's going to be really good.
The hardest part with that is making sure that we have enough people that can get in and post events in short notice, because some people may message you like 3 hours before the event and say, hey, can you get this up? And if Michael Rizal isn't around, then it may not get up there. So
well, if I'm around and you teach me how to do it, then I can do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of MOPEC, what should I tell these people that have all these materials? Just hold off another week, or
I'm sorry, say again. Oh yeah. Let them know that I want some more mechanic shops opening so that we can get a fair distribution of things. And
because I think the one person that I'd mentioned, I mean, they have 100 and however many. I just don't want them to go bad.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but it's just who do we have to legally be able to move it, right? So
True.
I dole it out so you can refresh it. You know what I mean? And I'm just like right now we're just waiting on the vote count, and then I think the first things that we get approved is two more mechanic shops, if not 3. Only problem is then we gotta wait for the fucking DOJ to approve it. Oh my lord. The red tape is embarrassing.
Is MOPEC just a net loss for the state accounts then?
It's
you just give out parts.
It's I would say it's under a microscope it's a net loss, but from a macro level it's a net gain due to the fact that bumping sliders does not solve the mechanic issue. So if we up the amount of materials generated in sanitation, it fucking bleeds our account dry, and all those materials get redirected elsewhere and not in the hands of mechanic shops. It doesn't solve the no mechanic shops are open problem.
Yeah, I think the deficit on it's only like 100 grand, so it's really nothing. Like if we buy at 12 and sell it 10, or buy at 12 and sell at 9, it's only like 150 grand.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If it's already been asked and answered, I apologize. But is there anything that actually can be done about people being able to work at night? Like,
oh, sorry, are you might be whispering?
Am I whispering? Oh shoot, sorry. How's that?
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Is there anything that can be done about other jobs being available to be done? Like with G6, if you're signed in before the cutoff, you can just keep working all night, all day. It doesn't stop you. Other places, you obviously can't do that until morning again. Is there any way that that can be altered? Because things like
anything that is construction related, I think we should have a construction request section on the emails. And it's just things that I cannot promise simply because some things go through and others don't. And it's kind of like I can throw the suggestion and it may get accepted or not, you know?
Okay.
Ava,
sometimes the mechanics are... Yeah, go ahead.
Just for additional context, we have a piece of legislation that's been drafted to extend the operating hours of lumber and sanitation. It's just a matter of when or if we feel the need to pull the trigger on that.
I say let's pull it.
Yeah,
Also
let's have like Bill and Abilene, one of them take that action, you know, whichever one of you want to take that, or if you want to take any of the ones that are in draft, that might be a good idea. So we're kind of splitting the effort.
There's one drafted already. I'm happy to hand it off and you guys can do whatever you want with it.
Is there a way to include... I know the mechanics have an issue with the parts and stuff, but is there a way to include them in there? Because sometimes the cars get messed up and you can't do anything, and you have to wait until morning to get your car fixed, even if there are parts available.
I think the mechanics one is the one that makes the least sense, because if you're signed in, nothing prevents you. With lumber, you don't you stop getting jobs overnight. They stop issuing jobs, so you can still cut trees down, but if your job runs out, even if you're signed in, you can't clock back in.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same with sanitation, where you can be signed in, you could have your truck out, but the man at the yard stops sending you jobs to pick up trash.
In mechanics, if they still can technically do it, I think their understanding is that they're not supposed to do it. Why some of them don't work until morning again? Because I didn't know that. Is that they can't work. Can it be like G6, where once you're clocked in, you can just keep working without a problem?
I mean, you could technically do that at lumber if you clock in
at the right time.
Do you still get jobs?
Yeah, you can still process wood, and
your job lasts for 2 hours, basically.
That was the only thing people have been mentioning to me about the working at night, because they're like, you can't work at night at certain jobs that you have rep, but you can't do the other ones because it'll hurt your rep. But then there's nothing else for you to do. There's no events, but hopefully that's going to be changing soon because people are creating things. But yeah, some people do want to be able to do their jobs longer.
Is sanitation ever really busy in this storm? Because it's not in the other one. when I'm normally at bed. So is that different? Are these sort of times? Or?
I would say it's busier now than it is earlier in the day. Yeah.
Okay.
Also depends on who's around and what their needs are, because most people are doing it for themselves.
Yeah. Agreed. I'd say I will add that. Let's get the construction request email chain up, and I'll make sure it's enveloped in what I'm sending over end of week. And yeah, I definitely say let's push that piece of legislation through. That's just a good one, right? Then it at least shows that we've done our part in it. Let me see. Let me take while we're here, let's take a look at what has been posted up. But going back to this though, just as a reminder, and I know we're already on this vibe, is that we need to make sure we're not prescribing, but the people that do the stuff prescribe back to us, if that makes sense. Because yeah. Automated toll tariff. I think we want to revisit that one. Anti-extradition. That should be revisited by us. Fuck necessary violence law. Too much of a headache. And those are the only two that we actually have on the to-do list. Oh my God. That we have been significantly successful. This is actually insane. I think both of those we rerun, except we make sure it fits with what is necessary. I think like the extradition one was very straightforward. The only problem with it was like, oh my God, Bolingbrook is in Blaine County. That's easy. We just cut that out. You know what I mean?
Did we confirm that, Nino?
I don't know. That was the only problem I saw kicked back. We can literally just say the exception is transports from back to prison kind of shit. You know what I mean? So specifically call out that the exception is only about processing and not the particular transports to Bolingbrook or processing that may be done by DOC, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll fix that.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
Bolingbrook is a prison, right? Obviously.
It is, yeah.
But would that be considered a state or federal type prison, which would
like
mean
I
it wouldn't matter?
It's listed in legislation as federal.
Okay, then that means it doesn't matter of county to county. It's above that.
Well, that's where our confusion was, because the way we read it, and then I also spoke to Angel about it, and she said Booty had some problems with it, but it kind of sounded like maybe there's just the intent that we had versus the interpretation, right? So we need to make sure that our intent is more clear in the legislation.
Are we going to get those meetings with DOJ anytime about these, or
let me handle that?
Okay.
Yeah. So they're just overwhelmed right now. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about before we break? Because we've been here for a minute.
No, I'm good. I'll get the email chain set up. I'm gonna set up a separate chain for.
Let's have you and me. Let's get in a car. I want to go through the specifics.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
Michael, if you or Nino, just give me clarification later on exactly what to do for the stalls, because I want to make sure I'm doing exactly what and
you're gonna want to speak to me anyways, just so you're not going back and having the same conversations with them over and over again.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an update and bring you up to speed.
Perfect.
And then you can kind of pick up where we left off.
Yep.
I know when I tried to talk to them, they're like, well, I already had this conversation with Eve, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but she didn't really offload any of her knowledge before she left, so I'll make sure that you're brought up to speed.
I work at one of them. I work at Funhouse, so I can easily talk to them, and I know people in each of the stalls there, so it's going to be easy to have the conversation. I just want to make sure I'm having the right conversation and getting the right information.
Yep.
Okay, easy.
You know what? I sent you screenshot of my phone of all the details that Ember had on the incident, so that you have it before you walk into anything.
All right, easy.
Or you know if it's serious or not.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's break. Michael, let's take a ride. Yep.
Yep, sounds good.
So
All
good.
right. Thank you so much for attending.
Bye.
This hopefully good things.
So no pool party?
Oh yeah, meeting notes and priority list is gonna get posted to the email chain. So you know, since it's a long meeting, you know what I mean?
I'll have it posted in like 20-30 minutes.
Nino.
Hey, what's going on, Emperor Nino?
Oh my God.